Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 20 meeting of the Ann Arbor City Council. If you're able, please rise and join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would our clerk please call the roll of council?
Councilmember Dish?
Here.
Councilmember Harrison?
Here.
Councilmember Song?
Here.
Councilmember Medina? Absent. Councilmember Watson?
Here.
Councilmember Ghazi Edwin?
Here.
Mayor Taylor?
Here.
Councilmember Iyer?
Here.
Councilmember Ackman? Absent. Councilmember Briggs? Absent. Councilmember Cornell?
Here.
We have a quorum.
May I have a motion, please, to remove the agenda? Moved by let's roll with approved today. Moved by Councilmember Iyer, second by Councilmember Cornell. Discussion of the agenda. All in favor? Opposed? The agenda is approved. Do we have communications today from our city administrator?
No.
We have two introductions today. The first in our bi-monthly introduction and information download from our indomitable executive director of the Downtown Development Authority.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Mayor Taylor, council members, Mr. Dahoney, Ms. Boudry. I appreciate the opportunity to be here before you tonight, and I appreciate the ongoing opportunity to be here to provide you with ongoing DDA updates. So my agenda tonight is a little bit ambitious, but I promise that I'm going to be very brief on each of these many topics. To start, the DDA operates two separate systems. We operate a parking system under an agreement with the City of Ann Arbor, and we operate a tax increment financing system, which is our better known as TIF system, where we make infrastructure investments in our downtown. So we'll start with the parking system. So beginning about 5 years ago, the DDA began installing fencing on all of our parking facilities. We started at the rooftop and we've been working our way down. So this fall, we completed the final phase of that fencing. So now all of our parking facilities have fencing on all levels above level 2, which was our goal. The DDA has invested about $1.4 million in fencing, and we continue to monitor that fencing now through our ongoing maintenance and restoration plans. Back when we began this final phase of fencing, we also worked with our partners at Community Mental Health to update the rooftop signage and to also add signage on some of the lower levels. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that if you or anyone you know is in crisis, there is help available 24/7 by either texting or dialing 988. So our parking rate study. This study has completed its study and analysis phase. And right now, as far as the process goes, I'm going to direct your attention to the orange highlighted box for December. So our parking rate study right now is in the phase where at our December DDA board meeting, we will be putting forth those rates, the proposed rates to the public, and we will be making an announcement that we will be having a public hearing. There will be a public hearing in February. At the March DDA board meeting, the DDA board will vote on the proposed slate of rates that you all saw at your joint DDA city work session last month. If the DDA board does approve those rates, in May, the new parking rates would be implemented. And I should say that for the public, you do not need to come to a public hearing to provide us with feedback. You can call the DDA, you can send an email to the DDA, and all of this information, if you go to a2dda.org, on our homepage is a big announcement saying public hearing in February, links to all the information. So I encourage anybody to check that out if you have interest. Our curbside management study, beginning in 2022, we began the workings of a curbside management study. We are now wrapping that study up. And tonight, I just wanted to point out a few of the findings from that study. So first, Ann Arbor is already meeting many best practices at the curb. The consultant team that we're working with is doing curbside work for cities across the country. What they have found here in Ann Arbor is some of the infrastructure work that we have already done downtown has helped us make strides in balancing those competing needs at the curbside. And this is not to say that we are done. This is not to say that we don't have a lot of work to do. But what it is saying is that we are moving in the right direction. So we were encouraged to hear that. Utilization after 6 p.m. at our meters is high. This is a time when we don't have enforcement. There are a significant number of short-term stays at our curbside. Most of our meters downtown have a 2-hour time limit. Most people aren't staying for 2 hours. As a matter of fact, we're seeing many stays under 15 minutes. So it's something we have to look at. Commercial loading zones are not always occupied by commercial vehicles. We're seeing much different activity in those loading zones. And then in terms of our enforcement strategy, given the complexities that we're seeing at the curbside and the changing need, it's time for us to look at our curbside enforcement strategy to make sure that we're able to meet demands as they continue to change. So the recommendations from this study are divided into 3 different phases. We've got immediate, near term, and longer term. Tonight, I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the immediate recommendations. Updating rates, already underway with that. Our next priority is taking a comprehensive look at all of our on-street ADA spaces. Beginning in January, we are going to be looking at each individual block perimeter and adding ADA spaces where feasible. There are lots of different constraints that we have to factor in downtown, but our goal is to make sure that we are either meeting or exceeding the new federal guidelines for the quantity of ADA spaces that we are to have on street. And finally, in 2024, we will also be working with our partners at the city to talk about enforcement and how enforcement can help us meet some of these near-term and longer-term goals. So now I'm going to switch gears and move over to the TIF system, our infrastructure system. So right now, the DDA is underway in collaboration with the City Transportation Department on a circulation study. This circulation study has 4 main areas of focus: low-stress bikeway connection, transit streets, the restoration of 2-way traffic on 5th and Division, and event streets. And the recommendations from this study are going to help us determine how can our streets help support our city goals. And they will also, these recommendations will lead to project priorities for the DDA as we look to update our development plan.
Ms. Thompson, if I may.
Sure.
Ma'am, please keep your sign down below shoulder level so that people behind you are not blocked. Thank you very much. Ms. Thompson, thank you.
So the circulation study has basically just got underway. Our consultant team right now is working on data collection, understanding our current project outcomes and existing conditions. I'm not going to go into everything on this slide. I just want to point out one particular safety outcome that I think is particularly relevant. Crashes resulting in serious injury have decreased by 44% for all users on bikeway streets. And I think one of the significant pieces of this is the fact that biking has really increased on those streets. So our safety numbers are improving even with seeing more people biking. So we have a complete outcomes report on our website under People Friendly Streets. If you have interest in learning more, I encourage you to go to that. 4th Ave Street and Transit Improvement Project. This is a collaboration between the city, the DDA, and the AAATA. DDA is also working with the Housing Commission to see how we can support infrastructure work for their project at 350 South 5th. This project is anticipated to get underway in 2026. And the goals of this project are to create a block of 4th Ave that is safe and comfortable for pedestrians, particularly those people taking the bus, and to improve transit operations at Blake. So because of the goals of this study, or of this project, I should say, I'm pleased to report that we received an $800,000 grant in placemaking from the MEDC. And finally, it is time for the DDA to talk about renewing and updating our development plan and our TIF plan. So our strategy for updating our plan is really to coordinate and leverage current studies that are underway. In addition to that, we are looking at dynamic data sources to help us really understand what these downtown plans are going to tell us. And we're also working with our partners at the city to create a base level of service document. So we are confirming who is doing what in our downtown and where can the DDA do more. That is all I have. I wish you all a peaceful holiday, and I will see you in January. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now have at the podium for the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission 2023 Golden Paintbrush Award, Nancy Margolis. And everyone, all associated.
Yeah, right,
I
thank
have a
you.
question. The Zoom link for some people is asking for a passcode. Do you know what the passcode is?
Ms. Boudry? Might be on the written, if there's a written agenda around it, might be on that. So, I don't think we have one here. Ms. Boudry, can you, oh, thank you. Sir. Thank you. All right, scooch around this way so that I'm not the only, so that I'm not blocking. So as we have over the course of many years celebrated public art throughout our community. The beautification of Ann Arbor is an incredibly important part of creating a space where residents and visitors can come and know that they are in a welcoming location, a location that values place, values engagement, values plurality. And that is why I am particularly delighted this cycle to present the Golden Paintbrush Award to Nancy Margolis and her team, I'm inferring, with respect to Embracing Our Differences Michigan. Embracing Our Differences Michigan, which we will shortly hear about, is an incredibly exciting installation which we've had near Gallup Park, and it has exemplified truly some of the best that we have in Ann Arbor. And so, Ms. Margolis,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We really feel very honored by this award because it really, well, in these very horrific times, it confirms the work that we're doing. Embracing Our Differences is an art and education program to promote and celebrate diversity and inclusion, and we're just so very pleased to receive this kind of recognition. I'd like to introduce my colleagues. Kay Wade, who is the education director. Lynn Settles is the art director, and Chris Gant is our project director as well. We're delighted to be here, and thank you very much for this award. First, in addition, I'd like to thank the city for the use of Gallup Park. It has been wonderful, and the Parks Department and Josh Landerfeld has been fabulous to work with. So thank you all very much.
Very good.
Thank
you so much. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thanks a ton. Thank you. Thank you. See you. We now come to public comment reserve time. Public comment reserve time is an opportunity for members of the public to speak to council and the community about matters of municipal interest. To speak at public comment reserve time, one needs to have signed up in advance by contacting our city clerk. Speakers in all instances will have 3 minutes in which to speak, so please pay close attention to the time. Our clerk will notify you when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time has expired. When your time has expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Our first speaker today is Elizabeth Tolrand.
Hi there, my name is Elizabeth Tolrud. I'm a current junior in cell biology and ecology at the University of Michigan. I'm also a student in the Student Carbon Neutrality Network. So this is a network of about 20 U of M student organizations that are aligned for a just transition to carbon neutrality. I've grown up in Michigan and I have an intense love for Ann Arbor. Beyond the energy of the university, the city has a unique blend of people and perspectives that are filled with so much care for this place. And although I felt the impacts of climate change elsewhere, it felt like Ann Arbor was protected. But this summer, I wore an N95 mask while wildfire smoke burned my eyes and caused coughing fits, while I worked outside in ecological restoration every day, trying to protect the health of our soils and our waters here in Ann Arbor. The previous feeling of being a safe place from climate change quickly disappeared. This encouraged me to take a deeper dive into local ways that I could help fight climate change, and clean energy is at the top of that list. As I read more about other areas in the country that have commercial buildings, even multifamily housing that are all electric, I wondered, why isn't the town that I love doing this too? I really appreciate previous action by the City Council to adopt a climate emergency declaration and commit to a path to carbon neutrality by 2030. And I've personally been involved in the work of the A20 Carbon Neutrality Plan, another exciting initiative. And Ann Arbor has even approved 3 multifamily, all-electric developments. However, stronger action is needed to decisively shift new construction to full electrification. By enacting a moratorium on the use of gas in new multifamily and commercial construction until electrification incentives are in place, we can start on a cleaner path right away. We must discourage the use of natural gas for heating in new development and instead set truly effective and accountable incentives to encourage all electric new construction. With previous resolutions, such as the identify incentives to increase emissions reductions, we just need more specific recommendations for full electrification of multifamily and commercial new construction. I believe in the strength and passion of this town, and we are absolutely on the right track. But we need stronger incentives and more specific guidelines to ensure that our actions are the most effective. I hear from every day from other students just how much climate anxiety affects our everyday experience. It's difficult to enjoy the magic of a college experience when you constantly feel climate change infringing on your future. So let's take the next step to fighting climate change through effective electrification together. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Edward Traeger.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Taylor and council members. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. In the last 44 days since the Hamas attack on October 7th, the state of Israel has slaughtered 13,000 civilians in Gaza, including 5,500 children, over 3,500 women. It has also murdered 200 medical personnel and slaughtered 51 journalists, killed at least 102 United Nations relief and works agency aid workers. 1 in 200 people in Gaza are now gone forever. Entire families have been wiped from the face of the earth, including 50 members of my own father-in-law's extended family in Gaza. This is insanity. This is a massacre. This is genocide. And over 29,800 people, 70% of them children, have been injured. And when we say people have been injured, we should look at what those injuries look like. We should clarify it. Children who no longer have arms and legs. Babies who will never learn to walk because they have no legs anymore. Children crying for their parents who are buried under rubble. children forced to dig themselves out of rubble from their demolished homes with their own bare hands. I cannot even imagine the lifelong impact that these trauma will have on those who are lucky to have survived. Can you, my friends, can you imagine what life will be like for these people? And how were these children killed and injured, and civilians? By Israeli bombs and missiles. We know this. Bombs made here in the United States. Weaponry paid for by all of our collective taxes. Forbes reports that the US defense stocks have surged $30 billion since October 7th. Isn't war and genocide such a lovely enterprise? The financial backbone of our country is so strong and vibrant. But our morality has been emaciated to the bone by a chronic wasting disease. So friends, what are we going to do? Ann Arbor, what are we going to do? What can we do? Need I even say that the least this esteemed city council can do is issue a demand.
Thank you.
Issue a demand for an immediate ceasefire, complete divestment from Israel now, and thirdly, no criminalization or prosecution of students or any other residents assembling and speaking out about Israeli crimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Farhad Ibrahim.
He's on the phone.
My apologies. Thank you.
Caller with the phone number ending in 453. Do you have a comment?
While there's no speaker at the podium, if the sign holders could resume their prior positions at their seats, please, holding their signs down. I'm inferring that you are with the speaker, and so therefore it's okay to come and be with the speaker while the speaker wishes to have you here. In the absence of the speaker present, if you could please sit down with your signs.
Mr. Ibrahim, please unmute your phone. Go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Good evening to all the council members and the greater Ann Arbor community. My name is Dr. Ibrahim. I'm a healthcare worker from this area, and I've been residing here for the last 20 years. And I would like to just echo the sentiments of the previous speaker without mentioning any further statistics. I think enough has been mentioned by the previous speaker to elucidate in reasonably graphic detail the brutality and the unparalleled destruction that the Gazan people are facing at this point in time in their lives, for which they have really no reason at all to be facing other than to be asking for basic human rights, basic dignity, and the normal, everyday necessities and standards of living that both you and I and everybody present here tonight want for all their loved ones and for all their communities. So their ask is not great at all, and for this, what do they get in response? They get an imprisonment in an area that is not more than 140 miles. If I'm not mistaken, the details may be a little different technically, geographically speaking, but this is what they get for their efforts. They are imprisoned in an area from which they cannot escape the destruction that has been for the last 45 days, hailing down on them from all different directions. So the international relief organizations and the World Health Organization, as well as the United Nations, has officially asked and have pronounced that this area is not fit for daily occupation by any of these poor people. But they have been asking the whole world to observe that there's a genocide unfolding in front of their eyes. And most of our Western nations, including our beloved United States leaders, have constantly been ignoring these requests for ceasefire and for the opening of safe humanitarian corridors to allow
30 seconds.
access to health and medical supplies. So I ask everybody here tonight, please join me in a call to end the genocide, ask for ceasefire, and ask for safe humanitarian corridors to allow medical access. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shima Sagajialiani. Sagajiani, thank you.
Thank you so much for letting me speak. I am here tonight, like so many of us here tonight, to speak to a need to advocate and push for a ceasefire in Gaza and to stop the constant bombardment of innocent civilians by the Israeli military and to continue to promote the liberation of the Palestinian people. According to a recent poll, the great majority, over 71% of Michigan Democrats, support an immediate ceasefire, a statistic that is reflected through the actions within our own community. There have been multiple protests in the Ann Arbor and Greater Washtenaw County area in the past few months that call for immediate ceasefire and an end to complicity in the senseless murder of Palestinian men, women, and children. I urge members of the Ann Arbor City Council to respond to the calls of its community members and draft a plan calling for immediate ceasefire, as well as put forward a proclamation expressing support and solidarity with the people of Palestine. These actions would follow the brave footsteps of other Michigan council members, such as Detroit Council member Gabriela Santiago Romero, as well as the Hamtramck and Dearborn City Councils in standing for justice and in unity with local community members who have been loudly calling for an end to the continuous and inhumane airstrikes in Gaza. To date, over 11,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, and this number is only increasing. Hospitals, schools, and refugee camps have all been targeted. No place is considered off limits. As individuals living inside the United States, which is an entity that has been continuously providing military and financial aid to the Israeli government to carry out this genocide, and make no mistake, this is a genocide, and especially as residents of Michigan, which hosts one of the largest Arab American and Muslim populations in the United States, I believe that we have a responsibility, and you especially as Democratic council members have a responsibility to push for ceasefire and divestment and play your part in ensuring the continued survival and flourishing of the Palestinian people. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Giselle Arigada Barrios. Giselle, thank you. My apologies.
Hello, Council. My name is Gisela Arriaga Barrios. I am a student at the University of Michigan, earning my master's in social work, and I am here to speak to you all to demand for a resolution asking for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The city of Ann Arbor has a history with the Palestinian people. There's been a resolution before in 2021 in which this council passed 21-0867 resolution for city to hold a community conversation about the Palestinian people and Palestinian Americans. Prior to that, in 2003, this council was asked to oppose U.S. military aid to Israel, and before that, in 1984, thousands of residents in Ann Arbor petitioned for a resolution against aid to Israel. Yet here we are today. And I stand before you and ask, what side of history will you be on? We have yet to see a resolution be presented before the council. There's no information that the public has been made aware of. No conversations have been made to heal our communities, and we are all hurting. I am a proud Latina and a daughter of a survivor of the Salvadorian Civil War that was funded and armed by the United States and the Israeli government. To this day, they have not acknowledged the 75,000 innocent lives that died because of the funding of weapons from the Israeli government and the training from U.S. military that led to the two largest massacres in the Salvadorian War. I will not stay silent in this matter because I know how my mother suffered from displacement and watching her home become a rubble. I refuse to watch as politicians continue to choose money over humanity, as people who represent the spaces I am in choose to ignore the residents that they serve, and I refuse to allow for a lack of accountability from our police department that belittle, ignore, and use excessive force on peaceful protesters. I will not allow for the Palestinian people to be ignored the way we have ignored and distorted the history of Black, Indigenous, people of color communities here in our country and within Michigan and within Ann Arbor. So I stand here and ask this council to listen to the people who keep calling, the people on the streets chanting, the history of Ann Arbor residents who were and still are asking to divest from the military aid from Israel government and acknowledge the genocide of Palestinians. I demand for there to be action taken. I will hold you responsible. And I demand for a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza now. Sin justicia, no hay paz.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rushdie Farah.
Yeah, he did not read your name right. He can't read names.
Rushdie Farah.
Oh, okay.
Rushdie, are you here?
Okay. On the phone.
The caller is supposed to be on the phone, Mayor, but I do not see them. If Rushdie Farah is on the phone, please raise your hand. Press *9 to raise your hand. Mayor, I don't have this caller on the line.
Our next speaker then is Mary Garton. Could I have sign holders please resume their seats while this speaker is speaking?
Hello, changing the topic. I'm Mary Garton, and I'm in Ward 2. Hello. My ask today is for policies that promote the electrification of new construction and to discourage the use of methane. I'm going to talk about methane instead of natural gas because although they are the same thing, a lot of people seem to assume that natural gas means it's okay, whereas methane that leaks is over 30 times worse than CO2. So that's my terminology. First, thank you for the steps in the right direction. 4 years ago, you declared a climate emergency and committed to achieving carbon neutrality by 2030. The A20 roadmap you approved was well thought out, getting input from stakeholders in many settings over a long period, and many thanks to Missy Stoltz and the Office of Sustainability for their work. I strongly support the rezoning efforts along the transit corridors, as we need more affordable housing for those who work here and easy, less carbon-intensive ways for people to get around if they choose. The new bike lanes are overdue and appreciated. There are still stretches that make a commute a pretty scary adventure, but once these gaps are filled, to quote Dr. Seuss, "Oh, the places we can go without having to own or maintain a car." That is, so please continue with these efforts and quickly. Now, where are we falling short? A20 plan assumed that all new residential and commercial buildings would be built to operate without methane. However, since the plan's adoption, the city has approved 27 development projects that use methane for heating, totaling over 2 million square feet. Now, these furnaces will have a useful life of 15 to 20 years or more, making retrofitting really unlikely, and it's also expensive. The emissions from these 27 newly approved developments will be substantial, so much so as to cancel out emission savings from the city's Solarize program, the planned solar at city facilities, and the park solar projects by more than a factor of 2. So to repeat that, these new emissions cancel out the savings we have implemented with the Solarize program, the planned solar at city facilities, and the park's solar projects by a factor of 2. So we've got emissions reductions on the one hand, and then the other hand comes and is wiping them all out. by a factor of 2. So we've got to stop doing that, undermining our efforts, and by allowing new methane infrastructure needs to stop. Now, there are no restrictions on new construction in Ann Arbor relying on methane infrastructure, nor is there any program yet that incentivizes developers to shift new construction from methane to all electric. And in the interim, we need incentives for new construction to be all electric. At the same time, as Ken Garber mentioned last week, DTE is saying that their state-of-the-art facility substation at Briarwood doesn't have the capacity for more electric, and that's unacceptable. There is demand, there needs to be supply, because this is a monopoly utility.
Thank you.
So we need to look into that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Marcello Anwar.
Good afternoon. My name is Officer Morrow. I am a retired Ann Arbor police officer that has served the department for 12 years. During my tenure, I was an Officer of the Year recipient. I was also a union representative and a racial bias instructor, responsible for training officers along with administration on racial equality and unbiased policing. Today, I would like to bring to your attention the alarming activities within the Ann Arbor Police Department. Since I'm now retired, I am no longer bound by the department's policy that restricts me from speaking negatively about the department, and a violation which could result to termination. There are existing pressing issues involving specific individuals, including former Chief Amy Metzer, Sergeant Schaefer, Acting Lieutenant Andy Jeanette, Lieutenant Mike Sherba, and our current Police Chief Patrick McGuire. These issues encompass retaliation, sexism, theft, and corruption. One notable incident involving former Chief Amy Metzer and her ex-husband, Sergeant Schaefer, failing to arrest a highly intoxicated driver who was 3 times the legal limit. The suspect was involved in a car crash with another victim. Not only did they personally know the suspect, they falsely reported that the driver was not intoxicated. The driver walked away with only a ticket and didn't even go to the hospital. Shockingly, even though I spoke up about the corruption/cover-up, despite this, both were promoted instead of facing consequences or criminal charges. Metzer to chief, now the director of security at the University of Michigan, and her ex-husband, now promoted to a sergeant at the Ann Arbor Police Department. Another significant occurrence involving Sergeant Andrew Vayner, who sexually harassed subordinates in sharing promotional test answer for specialties within the department, which was proven through investigation, had minimal repercussions. Acting Lieutenant Andy Jeanette was implicated as a main suspect in the theft of a police-issued assault rifle that was placed in the ATF's database as stolen. In case of ballot stealing within the police department where there were no consequences. Lieutenant Mike Sherba refused me backup when myself, an African American, and partner requested it. Sherba told multiple officers to stand down. Note that I had a past of racial dealings with Lieutenant Sherba that Human Resources is fully aware of. After begging the administration to file a complaint, it was granted. However, after a high-ranking official agreed with my concern, I was later reprimanded for filing a racial complaint by the current police chief, Patrick McGuire. In my 11 years, I have faced physical assaults, retaliation, and smear campaigns. When I filed an EOC complaint last year to take further action, I was met with retaliation and non-factual campaigns.
Thank you.
Eventually, I have about 30 seconds of speaking. Per council's rules and regulation, I motion to have a majority vote for me to speak another 2 minutes to voice the rest of my concerns, and that's per your policy.
Thank you.
So we're not going to do a majority vote?
2 minutes.
No, sir, thank you.
It's only 2 people after me. You guys, so per your...
Sir, thank you.
So per the regulations...
Sir, thank you.
I can't have a 2-minute majority vote?
No, sir, not
Okay,
this
well,
time.
can I at least share the evidence?
I
have evidence of everything that I'm speaking
If you have
of.
everything, please bring it to the clerk. We'll distribute it to council.
Okay, can you distribute it to this African-American lady? Because I've already told these 2 people about it, and they just look the opposite way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Madden Litton.
Hello, members of City Council. Thank you for being here today, and please open your ears and listen, not just hear me today. Today, you are given an opportunity that doesn't come often. It's important that you make a stance today and just speak up. The city of Ypsi has done this, so it's kind of crazy that you guys have not, right? So you have a big role here today, considering our larger government is complicit with Zionism. This is not an opportunity that comes every meeting, making it all that more important for you guys to take a stand. Make your constituents proud, make Ann Arbor proud, make Michigan proud, make the United States proud, and all of the world. Please support a resolution on a ceasefire in Gaza. I had more, and I'm just flustered, but I hope that you see everyone here today. You know, it's interesting the response that the members who come talking about the environment get from you guys. But when we talk about human lives, I see people, different responses, different body language. So just be mindful, you know, this has been going on for a long time. So please wake up, please say something. Look at City of Ypsi, look at them, they're doing something, you can do something too. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joseph Cherniglia. If folks who are, could please resume their seats and put their signs down below shoulder level. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Cernelia, and I am a senior at the University of Michigan School of Public Health studying community health. And I am here tonight to speak on the necessity of ensuring that new developments in our community are equipped to tackle both the climate and health equity crisis within our community. There is no doubt that housing affordability is a serious issue in Ann Arbor. However, when we look at what needs to be done to supply affordable housing, we cannot sacrifice short-term benefits for long-term detriments. Gas heating appears on the surface to be a cheaper option, with estimated savings of anywhere between $7 to $30 per month in Michigan based on recent calculations. However, when we factor in the negative health impacts of the gases produced by gas heaters being proposed in these new developments, those being nitrous oxides and carbon dioxide, these cost benefits disappear. Regarding nitrous oxide, the health impacts of these are well studied, with noted results of nitrous oxide exposure being increased rates of asthma and respiratory infections, with some studies finding 13% of all new childhood asthma cases being attributed to the effects of ambient air pollution caused by the burning of fossil fuels such as natural gas in heaters, appliances, and vehicles. For reference, the average annual health expenditure of one asthma patient in the state of Michigan comes out to $2,500 annually, or $210 per month. The annual health costs of burning nitrous oxides amount to $6.5 billion nationally, costs which are passed throughout society in the form of increased insurance premiums and taxes. And this is all before we consider the cost of climate change, which is accelerated due to the burning of fossil fuels such as natural gas. Natural gas accounts for 34% of CO2 emissions in the US, and the following impacts of climate change as a result of these emissions cannot be understated. A study done by the University of Michigan projects the cost of loss of life due to heat in Michigan to increase by almost $180 million annually. Once again, these costs will be passed on to all of us, but especially and particularly the most vulnerable in our communities. Solving our affordable housing crisis is essential, but this cannot come at the cost of increasing health expenditures for the same people we are trying to help. At the end of the day, gas may be the cheaper option today, but it is by no metric the cheaper option for tomorrow. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and that is true in both public health and the climate crisis. And we need to ensure that there are incentive and regulatory structures in place to ensure that no development occurs which uses gas at the expense of our health, when we have the option now to invest in communities with clean, healthy, and long-term economical electric alternatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rula Hashem.
Hello everyone. My name is Rula Hashem. I'm originally Palestinian, but I have a dual citizenship. I came here more than 20 years ago, in my 20s. And I actually studied in this country. I did my master's degree and bachelor's degree in math and a PhD in technology and education. And during this time, I served this country by teaching in colleges and community colleges and universities, and also volunteered a lot in my community. Some of you may have met me in an Arbor mosque where we did open house and we invited a lot of interfaith people from other faiths to introduce. So growing up in Palestine, I remember that when I was a child, we used to take, when I was going to school, me and my classmates or schoolmates, we used to take with us a little bottle of apple cider vinegar, because in my school, when I was young, the Israeli soldiers used to throw gas tear bombs into my school. And the apple cider vinegar helps with the breathing, and it stops choking the person. Just imagine yourself, like your kids, everybody's kids, or yourselves going to a school and you have bombs coming into your school. And this is what my life when I was young. And so I want. So the reason for me to speak today is to request a ceasefire on Gaza and stop supporting a war, supporting Israel to kill innocent people, innocent civilians. So also I would like to remind you. So, I mean, the people of Palestine right now are being bombed, massacred, with no reason except that they were born into an occupied territory. So this is myself when I was young, and everybody who were there. Imagine yourself, you were born into this area. And so what choice do you have? There is a lot of bad things happening to you all your life. And look at now, they are bombing everyone there. And so I would like to remind all of you that all humans are created equal. According to God, I mean, even if you don't believe in God, every single one of you, all of us, have been born from Adam and Eve. Nobody is born from anybody else. So that means everyone is equal. No two human beings are not different, like everybody is equal with each other. So I am here to speak to your conscience, and I would like to remind you that every single one of us, every single one of you will die at one point.
Thank you.
And they will not take will die like regular death. I mean, any death, everybody's gonna die. Nobody's gonna be spared from dying. They will not take any of their money. They will not take with them any of their family members, any of their houses, any of their properties. So you need to think about which side, the only thing that stays with the person is their actions. What do you do in this life, and how, like your conduct with people. So I request that you. So do you want to be remembered as a person? I'm almost done. Do you want to be remembered as a person who supported genocide or of other humans, or you want to be remembered as a person who went against it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bashar Halak.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bashar Halak, and I am a Lebanese 23-year-old that came here 10 years ago. Yes, I am Lebanese, but my blood is Palestinian. In 2006, I was in Lebanon when Israel launched a war on Lebanon. They killed more than 1,200 innocent people in Lebanon. Some of them were my friends. Some of them were my family. So we've seen how these pigs operate. We've seen how they've bombed my grandpa's house, how they've killed some of my friends and some of my family members. And we had to leave our city, and we had to go to Syria. Unfortunately, as we are speaking today, more than 13,000 people are dead in Gaza by the Israeli bombs. The Israeli bombs that are made here, and the Israeli bombs that are getting paid for with our US tax dollars. As we speak right now, those people have nowhere to go to, because Israel has blocked all access to Gaza. It doesn't even let them leave to Egypt. So as I was coming here today, and as I was thinking about what I want to speak about, what I want to say, I got off M14 and I hit a couple of potholes on the road. And then I remembered that our infrastructure is bad because our government, our president, and our officials decide to invest their money and our US tax dollars in aid to Israel so that they can kill children and give them tanks that are useless now in Gaza, to kill children and women with them. Half or more than half of the people that are in Gaza are children or women. So I know why we have bad infrastructure and bad schools and drug problems. And you see in Ann Arbor how many homeless people we have, how much drug problems we have, how many thieves we have, how much it's not safe to walk outside after 10 or 11 p.m. So this is why, because our money is going somewhere else where it should not go. What I want to say today is Friday, we had a protest in downtown Ann Arbor, and we went to the UM's admin's building to ask them, as we've been asking for 45 days, as this genocide has not stopped, to ask the president of University of Michigan, Ono, to divest from Israeli companies and to stop sending military aid to Israel and to divest from companies like Lockheed Martin and Boeing. And however, our answers were not met for 45 days. So unfortunately, we had to go inside the building. At 4 p.m., cops were there. Ann Arbor Police Department, Ypsilanti Police Department, Canton Police Department. They brought cops from all over the state to stop us from entering the building, a public building, a university building that we have the right to be in. They stopped us. They tried to stop us, and they started beating us up. And as we were forcing our way in, they pushed us to the ground. They pulled a couple of the sisters' hijabs off. Muslim girls, Muslim women, they pulled their hijabs off and they threw them to the ground. We then got arrested.
Thank you.
We were stopped for hours. So now I just want to tell you what we need from you. We need to ask for a ceasefire, a resolution for a ceasefire, a resolution for divestment from these war companies. People are dying. Chris, what would you do? I know you guys don't care about our blood. Our blood is cheap to you, like the president of this country said, that they don't believe that there's 12,000 people dead. Chris, what would you do if your kids were dying? What would you do, Milton, if your mom was dying? What would you do, Aisha, if your sister was getting bombed? What would you do, Chris, if your cousins are dying? What would you do, Lynn? Cynthia, Lisa, every single one of you, Jenna and Athene. What would you do if your kids were dying?
Thank you.
If your family was dying, if you were getting displaced?
Thank you.
Resolution for a ceasefire, divestment, put pressure on this university. We're sick, we're tired, and we can't take this anymore.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rich Fine.
Thank you, and hello, everyone. My name is Rich Fine. I live in Ward 5, and I lead the Building Electrification Action Team for the Ann Arbor chapter of the Citizens Climate Lobby. We are requesting that the city implement a comprehensive set of policies to substantially reduce or preferably end the use of gas in multifamily and commercial new construction. We applaud the city, particularly the Office of Sustainability and Innovations, for beginning implementation of several decarbonization programs. Yet since the approval of the A20 plan, the city has approved at least 27 new development projects that use gas heating. With that, we are at best running fast in place. We're running on a carbon emissions treadmill. The voters who approved millage for implementation of the A20 plan deserve better. In June, Council passed a rather generalized resolution to identify incentives to increase emissions reductions. We have heard that there are efforts underway to present recommendations that specifically address new construction. Hopefully, this will be introduced by the December 31st deadline. We look forward to seeing implementations that can have real impact. CCL prefers the use of incentives over bans and obstructions. But we see evidence that should more obstructive measures be used, developers are not likely to shift development to the townships. The evidence is based not on what developers say, it's based on what they do. All recent approved by right developments heat with natural gas. All recent projects requiring significant zoning changes are all electric. Why is that? Most likely because when the city has leverage, developers plan for all electric. That's not stopping these developers from building in Ann Arbor. If there were some leverage applied to the by rights, could the behavior be the same? They all see great benefit to investing in this city. Ann Arbor has some of the country's most creative problem solvers. We expect some creative suggestions to come out of the June resolution that will be effective, including some that apply more leverage where it's either pulling or pushing towards electrification of new construction. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Alex Caballero.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Caballero. I am a Latino and an indigenous person. I want to start by saying there is a need for a ceasefire and resolution to stop for the thousands of killings of Palestinians. The ongoing colonization of Palestinians is leading to their erasure as a people. As an indigenous person who's had their culture, their traditions, their way of life erased, I will not sit here and be silent as I watch another group of people getting exterminated and being erased. Because being silent is being complicit. We're watching, we're turning away, we're not listening and being informed about what's going on, everybody that's dying, all the atrocities occurring, children, elderly, everyone being affected. People's lives are being ruined. People's lineages are being erased. And I just want to end off by saying that we can't be complicit. And we just got to talk about it, because once they're gone, they're gone. And down the line, there'll be nothing to remember. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Gordon Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here again, upset with City Council. Recently, I read a story about, quote, They should be forced to go there whether they want to or not. I'm homeless once again. This paperwork, my paperwork from the Social Security Administration of this country. Proof that I'm a disabled American. You need to pay attention to who's sitting there trying to bully people. It's not just physical. Sometimes you got to think outside the box. Instead of talking about people, try talking with them. This city council's got a duty to do for this city. Yes, I know for a fact this city does a lot. You, sir, I have seen you multiple times at different functions around the city. I know for a fact with my own two eyes I've seen you 4 or 5 different times at different things, and was happy to see you, even tonight. But this council's got a duty to do to change the way people think, because the last time I checked, slavery was about forcing people into doing something that they did not want to do. Good night.
Thank you. We have not reached our 45-minute mark, and so we have time for one more public speaker this prior to public comment overflow. That's public speaker number 16, Mojan Savabiasafani.
Hello, Ann Arbor. I am here again to demand that this body that has been totally deaf to our demands for 22 years to pass a resolution that says we are against military aid to Israel. My friend just reminded me that in the past 5-6 weeks that Israel has been carpet bombing a nation with U.S. tax dollars and with full U.S. financial and political and support. 900 families who lived in Gaza for generations have been wiped out. People have been wiped out. Ms. Ghazi, sitting over here, she's a member of the Human Rights Commission, the phony Human Rights Commission in this town. If you were for real, you would be screaming for 5 weeks, Ms. Ghazi Edwin. You are a phony, that's what you are. You are a phony, and people of Ann Arbor see it. And when it comes time to vote, we will vote you out. Because you have done nothing to deserve these seats. You've got these seats because you've got hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of money that pushes you into these seats. My other friend wants me to remind you that Ypsilanti just passed a resolution that says we are against military aid to Israel. Obviously, a very quick ceasefire is needed. But in the long run, we need to cut off money to this monster that is Israel. We need to cut off money to this monster that is Israel. We hold you all responsible. You could have done this years ago, and you didn't. One of you's phone is running off. That is how much respect you have for lives of Palestinians. Most people here are demanding that you respect their lives just like you respect anybody else's. Ukrainians and everyone else who deserve respect. They are expecting respect. We want respect for human lives, for Palestinian lives. You have passed up the opportunity to vote to say no military aid to Israel for 22 years. Time stops now, and you say no more military aid to Israel. That's what you will do. Also, you should know that South Africa just called and said you have to take Mr. Netanyahu to jail for crimes against humanity. They brought them to International Court of Justice. South Africa has done that. Many other lawyers are pushing to get these war criminals, including Biden and Blinken and all of these people, to take them and bring justice to this situation. If you do nothing, your constituents will kick you out. And we demand that you pass the resolution before you that says we are against military aid to Israel.
Thank you.
Kick their ass. You think you can sit there all the time and just giggle and laugh? No!
Thank you. Are there communications today from council? Councilmember Song.
I appreciate folks coming out, especially folks who this is your first time coming to City Council and giving public comments for the first time, giving your comments even when your voices shake. Allow me to reflect a little bit. I actually saw my parents today, and we spoke about conflict and war. I am a product of war. I spoke to my mother about the My Lai massacre. I spoke to my mother about how she was thrown into a prison camp when trying to escape the communists. I spoke to my father. He was a medevac pilot for the South Vietnamese Air Force, about fighting for democracy and independence. I spoke about my parents escaping here and trying to start over, but wondering what is happening to their family that they had to leave behind, and the suffering that continues over generations. So I understand the frankness and the pain that you're all sharing here, and we individually here have had conversations within different communities. And I wish we had the power and authority that you think that we have here. We can't even get MDOT to not build fences. Our budget and our authority is squarely within Ann Arbor. And I will read to you our ordinance on our discrimination, because what we can do here is demonstrate care for the folks who are here. And that's what we've been trying to do with our anti-discrimination ordinance. And that's what we did when we condemned anti-Asian hate 2 years prior, when residents were being harassed for who they are, where they come from, and being blamed for a pandemic. We spent years working on solidarity, condemning white supremacy. And I would hope that we could continue that work and find peace and compassion for each other. The anti-discrimination ordinance allows residents to bring complaints to City Council through the Human Rights Commission. And that is so that folks are protected if they're discriminated against based on age, arrest record, color, disability, educational association, ethnicity, family status, family responsibilities, gender expression, gender identity, genetic information, height, HIV status, marital status, national origin, political beliefs, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, source of income, veteran status, victim of domestic violence or stalking or weight. It's pretty comprehensive. But those are the controls that we have here at this table. I've said before, we're not even the model United Nations, but we can care about the loved ones that we have around the world. I'm sorry we don't have that authority that you wish upon us. I really am. But here, in the 4 years that we're here, with the budget that we have, how we collect taxes, how we prioritize them for the infrastructure and people here, I hope is meaningful, because you are our residents, you are our community. Thank you.
So I want to say something. Go ahead, tell him. So you're saying you can't do anything. The aid that we're getting is from your own city, from your own cops, from your own police department. You don't want
Ma'am, please.
a resolution.
Sir, please. Sir, please. Thank you.
The city can definitely stop criminalizing
Sir,
or protest.
please.
Certainly.
Councilmember Harrison.
I'm going to start by announcing some dates to the community for Thanksgiving community meal and basket distribution. These are all on Thursday, November 23rd. I've got 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. at St. Andrew's Church on 306 North Division Street in Ann Arbor. They'll be serving breakfast again from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. At 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at the Original Cottage Inn. They will be serving their annual Thanksgiving meal, and that's at 512 East William Street in Ann Arbor. from 12 p.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. at the Delana Center, which is on 312 West Huron Street in Ann Arbor. They will be handing out to-go Thanksgiving meals. And finally, in Ypsilanti at the Hope Clinic at 5 o'clock p.m. The address is 518 Harriet Street in Ypsilanti, Michigan. They will be giving out, they will be serving a turkey dinner. Thank you. The Police Oversight Commission. If you'd like to put in a complaint, you can do so at the police, with the Dependent Community Oversight Commission. Police Oversight Commission. Yeah. Thank you.
That's it?
Councilmember
Shame on
Dish.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not going to repeat, because I couldn't do it as eloquently, what Councilmember Song said, but thank you, Councilmember Song. I do want to announce that Councilmember Harrison and I will have a coffee hour on Wednesday, December 6th from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Arrowwood Community Center. Okay, I'm done, thanks.
Further communication from council.
That's it? That's all?
Sir,
That's it?
Yeah.
I'd like to submit,
This is a genocide. Is this all you have to say? Cookies and cream? Is
Ma'am.
that all you have to say?
Can you consider a resolution?
We want to achieve nothing. These people are committed.
ma'am, sir,
22 years.
Fire is running away. She took money from old friends of the Israel Defense Forces. Fire took campaign money from old
sir,
friends
sir,
of the
please
Israel
sit, sir, please sit down.
So she's running away.
Follow the money.
Sir,
Follow the money.
Can you do a resolution or not?
Their lives don't matter.
I would like to submit the members of the public who are members of the public who are currently speaking. You are in the process of disrupting the meeting. Disrupting the meeting may result in your removal from this room. Thank you. Ma'am, there are people seated behind you. Please keep your sign below shoulder level. Thank you. For my part, I would like to echo the wise words of Councilmember Song in this regard. The world is filled with ills and injustices, and our scope here at this table is extremely limited. The scope here at this table as elected officials as a body is to conduct the operation of the municipal organization and to lead and hopefully unify a community.
If she did it.
The city of folks who are in the process of interrupting this meeting are being disruptive, and that may result in your removal from these chambers.
We understand it's a symbolic gesture, but we would appreciate if you could consider addressing it as a symbolic motion only. We understand it doesn't have political.
Thank you. This typically is not a dialogue context. I'm sure each of us would be delighted to speak with you and other community members at any time outside of this meeting.
We just said what we need, though. We just need a resolution.
Thank you, sir.
For what?
I would like to submit the following nomination for your consideration for consideration at our next meeting to the Ann Arbor Transportation Authority, Julie Grant.
That's a resolution, man.
We have before us the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Is there a confirmation? Oh, my apologies. Consent agenda being premature, I'd like to recommend the following appointments that are presented to the City Council for consideration at the November 6, 2023 regular session. To the Retirement System Board, Anthony DiGiovanni, Jordan Schreier. To the Public Market Advisory Commission, Emma Hardy. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Councilmember Cornell, seconded by Councilmember Dish. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It is approved. We now have before us the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Discussion of the consent agenda. Councilmember Dish.
I was thinking of pulling CA8 just for an explanation purpose.
UBU.
UBU. Okay.
CA8. Further discussion of the consent agenda? Is Councilmember Song? It's all right. We need an eighth. My apologies. All in favor of the consent agenda? Opposed? The consent agenda is approved with 8 council members present, all voting the affirmative, thus satisfying the 8-vote requirement with respect to CA3, CA4, CA5, CA6, CA9, CA11, CA13. That is all. CA8, resolution to approve the city's participation in proposed class settlements for 3M Company and DuPont to resolve claims by public water systems affecting PFAS contamination in the matter of in-ray aqueous film-forming foams, products, liability litigation, multi-district litigation. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Song. Discussion, please, of CA8. Councilmember Dish.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure this is exciting. It represents a step forward in our ability to receive financial compensation for the expenses that we've had in dealing with PFAS. I want to emphasize that the city's water is and remains safe to drink, and that city staff has and will continue to work diligently to meet all applicable state and federal PFAS drinking water limits. I believe I am correct in saying that state drinking water limits for PFAS are actually stricter than federal. So we are living in a good place if you care about clean drinking water. The city here is an eligible class member in this class settlement because our main water source, the Huron River, has been affected by PFAS. And in June 2023, 3M and DuPont, which are the only companies who are covered by this settlement, proposed class settlements totaling approximately $13.5 billion to resolve claims by various public water systems affected by PFAS. We have decided, we have been advised and have evaluated our options for either opting out or into this class settlement. And the city believes that participating in the class settlement is in the city's best interests, and so we will not be opting out. And, there is a great website, and I think it's hard to hear those on air, but if you click on this consent agenda item, you can find a great website to look up more information about this settlement.
Further discussion? I guess I'd like to say for my part, I'm glad that this is coming before us. I think this is the proper and wise thing to do in the presence of this litigation. I will say further that I'm like to shower some praise on our municipal water utility. When PFAS was an emerging contaminant, the city, the municipal organization, or the direction in that context of Mr. Steglitz implemented carbon filtering at our water treatment plant in a way that was very much on the front foot and has proven to be a very successful process, one which we believe to be replicated in many other jurisdictions. Mr. Steglitz, his care and expertise with respect to the water system is to Ann Arbor's consistent and great benefit, and just wants to thank him and the other folks that work with him in this regard. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? CA8 is approved. We now come to a public hearing. Public hearings are opportunities for members of the public to speak to council and the community about the specific subject matter of the public hearing. Speakers do not need to have signed up in advance, but their speech at the public hearing must relate to the specific item on the agenda. That is today the specific subject of the public hearing. Speakers in the room and online will have 3 minutes in which to speak, so in each case, please pay close attention to the time. Either our clerk or the time clock will notify you when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time has expired. When your time has expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Public hearing number 1, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55, Unified Development Code, zoning of 5.23 acres from TWP Township to PL Public Land District, vacant Traver Road. Is there anyone who'd like to speak at this public hearing? Is there anyone online who would like to speak at this public hearing?
Mayor, I don't have any callers online with their hands up.
Seeing no one, this public hearing is closed. We have before us the work session minutes of October 23 and the regular session meeting minutes of November 6, 2023. Moved by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Dish. Discussion, please, of the minutes. All in favor? Opposed? The minutes are approved. B1, an ordinance to amend Chapter 55, Unified Development Code, zoning of 5.23 acres from TWP Township to PL Public Land District, vacant Traver Road. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Harrison. Discussion, please, of B1. Councilmember Dish.
This is very straightforward. This ordinance will zone 5.23 acres of vacant land to PL or public land, which is a zoning designation intended for publicly owned land used for public purposes. This land is owned by the city and located adjacent to the Leslie Golf Course. It was purchased from the William F. Hosford and Margaret W. Hosford Trust in 2020 for parkland purposes with funds from the Open Space and Parkland Acquisition Millage, otherwise known as the Greenbelt. The reason why we are zoning it is because purchasing or accepting land donations does not automatically change a zoning designation. We should approve the proposed PL zoning designation because it is consistent and coordinates with adjacent zoning districts. The intent of the proposed zoning designation is also in alignment, and the existing land use and the surrounding land uses are consistent with what is proposed here. And that's really all I have to say.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It is approved. C1, an ordinance to amend the zoning map being a part of Section 5.10.2 of Chapter 55 of Title 5 of the Code of the City of Ann Arbor, zoning of 5.9 acres from TWP Township District to R4A Multifamily Dwelling District, 2520 Pontiac Trail and 2540 Pontiac Trail. Moved by Councilmember Dish, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Discussion, please, of C1. Councilmember Dish.
And on this one, there is reason for enthusiasm. Approval of this resolution will zone these parcels to allow the construction of an additional 120 residential units to the Village of Ann Arbor, which is already, a part of it is already approved. What is terrific here is that the originally approved plan, which was approved in last September 2022, outlined 484 residential units. Now we will be getting 604 residential units, but we will be getting additional housing and more open spaces. We are very happy to be in a situation where we do not have to trade off open space for housing units. The additional land will allow Village of Ann Arbor to add a park area to the west of the apartments, and that park area will offer walking paths, community gardens, a dog park, and open spaces. And I want to remind you that this is a project that offers housing at a variety of price points, and while students are perfectly welcome, and in fact I welcome you very much because it's 2 blocks from me to live there, this housing is not designed with solely, with 6-bedroom unit counts with students in mind. There are a number of 1- and 2-bedroom options in this housing, and which will make it relatively affordable compared to downtown housing. So I am happy about this development, and I am very happy to see this rezoning, and I think we'll get a site plan. We will maybe not. No, we don't. Planning Commission approved it.
Councilmember Song.
I echo Councilmember Disha's excitement around this. This is an area that's not too far from Carrot Way, where we have a really active food bank that Food Gatherers runs, as well as Child Care Center. We also have a couple roundabouts in the area in anticipation of development exactly like this, where we can welcome more residents of different incomes. And I'm really excited this is something that would appeal to new and young families. As the public schools rolls out their bond and tries to accommodate hopefully more students coming back to the district, this would be housing that would be suitable for that population.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It is approved. C2, an ordinance to add Chapter 75, leaf blowers, to Title 6 of City Code, moved by Councilmember Cornell, seconded by Councilmember Iyer. Discussion, please, of C2. Councilmember Cornell.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the City Attorney's Office and the Office of Sustainability for being excellent partners in working through this ordinance change. We know that gas leaf blowers generate 23 times the carbon dioxide of an F-150. And we know that those emissions have been linked to a myriad of debilitating health issues. When we look at the cost analysis, not just the health part of it, there's a positive return on investment in battery-powered leaf blowers in about 10 months. That's all it takes to pay for itself. When it costs over $1,000 a year to run a gas-powered commercial leaf blower, and certainly much more for larger ones, which is twice the cost of the blower itself. So there's over 100 cities and towns across the country that have banned or restricted the use of gas-powered leaf blowers, and I'm excited to see Ann Arbor consider doing it the same tonight. To clarify what the ordinance is that gas leaf blowers would be banned in the city in a phased-in approach. This would be an immediate ban during off-season, while gas leaf blowers will still be allowed to be used in the city from October 1st to May 30th through the year of 2027. And the idea for this was not to create financial hardship for homeowners or for commercial operators. So the idea is that especially those commercial operators, mom-pod businesses, that they would still be able to use their leaf blowers gas during the busy season and then amortize the equipment over time while integrating electric into their operations. I think when we consider also the noise that comes with that as part of it, I know that I've heard a lot of positive comments, not only on the environmental benefits of this, but the health, and a lot of people are very frustrated by the sound that gas leaf blowers made. So there's a lot of benefits to this.
Further discussion? Councilmember Kazi Edwin.
Thank you. So firstly, I want to thank the sponsors of this ordinance. I think it's really important. And in general, I am supportive of phasing out gas-powered leaf blowers. I understand the health concerns. However, the way the ordinance is currently written, I have some concerns with the equity impact, specifically on low-income, fixed-income residents, small business owners, especially minority-owned business owners. There are several amendments that I am working on with city staff. I've also contacted the city attorney's office to get some clarification on some of the amendments, and unfortunately, they didn't have time to work on them by this meeting. Some of these amendments would include having a progressive fining instead of it just being $500 automatically, maybe being $50 to $100 to $250. I just think that fine is way too high. And also, if the point is to have people use, electric leaf blowers, which are more expensive, taking money away from them is not going to help them purchase these. I also think that the money that is collected from these fines should go into a transition fund that would assist low-income, fixed-income residents, small business owners to buy this new equipment. This is something that I've discussed with Dr. Stultz, and I'll be writing more about this in a resolution that will be forthcoming. I also believe that the currently proposed times in this ordinance are too restricted and overlap with work hours, both 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekends. I think we need to look at that a little bit more. People do work on the weekends. So ultimately, I'm hoping that these amendments are currently not ready, and the attorney's office needs to sign off on them. So I'm hoping to get more information, work with my colleagues on these over the coming weeks. And for these reasons, I would like to make a motion to postpone this ordinance for 2 weeks so we can get more information on the equity impact.
Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Song. Discussion of the postponement. Councilmember Harrison.
Well, yes, I am also in support of phasing out gas leaf blowers. I do have a few concerns about the ordinance. There is a discrepancy in operation hours for gas leaf blowers compared to our existing noise ordinance. And I believe this misalignment will likely lead to confusion and also non-compliance as a result. The limited hours permitted for using gas leaf blowers are insufficient for homeowners to maintain their properties, directly impacting their day-to-day activities. Transitioning to electric leaf blowers is a significant aspect of this ordinance. However, we don't have a financial assistance program for this transition. Without support, the shift to more environmentally friendly options becomes, I believe, financially burdensome for some of our residents and local landscaping businesses. The proposed fines for ordinance violations, for many are excessive and disproportionately affects lower income residents. A more balanced approach would be to implement a graduated penalty system, taking into account individual financial situations. I do believe that there, maybe if there had been some public input, I guess, or weigh-in on this, a key aspect in ensuring its fairness and effectiveness, these issues would not exist. And in light of these points, I do agree that we should postpone the ordinance. This will allow time to address some of these issues thoroughly and develop a more comprehensive and viable approach.
Further discussion? Councilmember Breyer.
Thank you. I support this overall. I was a co-sponsor, after all. But I did get a chance to talk with Councilmember Ghazi Edwin today and really appreciated the input that she gave. I think this is part of the process is only a few council members can work on something and bring it to the table at a time in order to avoid Open Meetings Act violations. So now we have the full body taking a look at it, and we've got more people giving input. And one of the things I say this often, but that I really appreciate about this council is the diversity of opinions and experiences that everybody brings, and the ability to make our legislation even better and make sure that it works for everybody in the community. I personally do really support the idea of a graduated fine structure. If we can work that out in terms of, make it feasible in terms of being able to check and verify sources, amounts of income or levels of income for folks who get fined. I also want to state a couple of the reasons that I really do support this and that I don't support sort of extending the timeline. It's the pollution from these and these are really dirty technologies, and it doesn't just harm the environment, it harms the very people who are using them. And so I really think that it's a health and safety issue. not just for the community, but for the folks who are relying on these technologies. And so if we can use money from our climate action millage or from the fines that we collect to help people transition faster, I want to get them not using these for their own health and safety as soon as possible. And so that's part of my goal here. One of the things that I learned in reading about this, operating a commercial leaf blower for 1 hour generates as much pollution as driving a car about 1,100 miles. So from Denver to Los Angeles for 1 hour of one of these things. So, we need to just transition as quickly as possible. But I'm willing to support the postponement so that we can work through some of these new concerns that have been raised.
Further discussion of the postponement?
Can I talk again?
Yeah, sure. Councilmember Ghazi Edwin.
Thank you. I too agree. I know it's extremely dirty. It really damages the environment. It kills pollinators. I'm in total agreement. I think for me, it's just the nature of it as written right now is really punitive. And $500 for a lot of Americans, average American has like $2,000 in savings right now. It's a lot. And according to the ordinance, that $500 fine would go into effect in 10 days if someone were operating the gas leaf blower outside of these new restricted times, so outside of 8 to 6 p.m. on weekdays or 10 to 5 p.m. on Saturday or Sunday. So again, I am for this in principle. I just want us to focus more on more of an incentivized kind of educational effort and less punitive. And so the resolution that I'm going to be working on with OSI over the coming weeks is going to be talking about OSI launching an educational campaign for both residents and small businesses, or I'm sorry, for all businesses. Launching a bulk buy program, which will include commercial businesses of all sizes, because they'll have more buying power that way. And then in addition, how this transition fund will be set up. So all the money that will come in from these fines will go to this fund, which OSI will help to manage, and low-income, fixed-income, small business owners, minority business owners can access those funds to help buy this new expensive equipment, which is needed, but it's expensive. So, thank you.
Further discussion? Councilmember Cornell.
So I want to say I am also in support of delaying so we can work some of these things out. I'm excited to work with you on that. But I did want to clarify something that Councilmember Ghazi Edwin said. You can still operate your gas leaf blower from October 1st to May 30th through the year 2027. So that you're correct about the time, but not for the date. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear so that people didn't think if they used their gas-powered leaf blower tomorrow that they were going to get a fine. So just to clarify. Thank you.
Thanks.
Further discussion of the postponement? Roll call vote, please, starting with Councilmember Cornell.
Yes. Oh, is that on the?
No, you gotta wait. You wait. One waits to be called.
On the postponement.
On the postponement.
Councilmember Cornell?
Yes.
Councilmember Dish?
Yes.
Councilmember Harrison?
Yes.
Councilmember Song?
Yes.
Councilmember Watson?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina? Absent. Councilmember Ghazi Edwin?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilmember Iyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Ackman? Absent. Councilmember Briggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Cornell? Oh, sorry. Motion carries.
DC1, resolution to approve 2024 council calendar, moved by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Dish. Discussion, please, of DC1. All in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Ms. Cord, do we have the pleasure of a closed session today?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would like to request a closed session under MCL 15.268, in particular Section 8H, regarding a privileged and confidential memo provided to council on Friday, November 17th, 2023. Thank you.
May I have a motion, please, to go into closed session on that basis? Moved by Councilmember Cornell, seconded by Councilmember Briggs. Discussion? Roll call vote, please, starting with Councilmember Cornell.
Councilmember Cornell?
Yes.
Councilmember Dish?
Yes.
Councilmember Harrison?
Yes.
Councilmember Song?
Yes.
Councilmember Watson?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina, absent. Councilmember Ghazi Edwin.
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember Iyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ackman, absent. Councilmember Briggs.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We're in closed session. Speakers in all contexts have 3 minutes in which to speak, so please pay close attention to the time. Our clerk will notify you when 30 seconds are remaining and when your time has expired. When your time has expired, please conclude your remarks and cede the floor. Our first speaker today at Public Comment Overflow is Blaine Coleman.
When you look at the 13,000 people who Israel has murdered in the Gaza Strip just in the last 6 weeks, at least 13,000 children, women, men, and thousands more on top of that under the rubble, buried under the ground. You look at that and you understand why Ypsilanti City Council had no problem.
Mr. Coleman, I believe your microphone is off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I guess I have to hit this. Okay, if it's on, maybe you can set my clock back a little.
Please do. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. When you look at the 13,000 plus children, women, and men who were killed by Israel in the Gaza Strip in the last 6 weeks, murdered, it was a turkey shoot. It was like shooting fish in a barrel. Israel killing all those people who were confined in this little tiny space called the Gaza Strip. You look at that and you understand why Ypsilanti City Council had no problem whatsoever in passing a resolution unanimously against military aid to Israel and for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. You have no trouble understanding it. Let me say it again. The Ypsilanti City Council had no problem unanimously approving a resolution against military aid to Israel, to the apartheid state of Israel. And that resolution also was for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Now, if Ypsilanti City Council had no problem doing that, I have to disagree very strongly with Ann Arbor City Council member Lynn Song, who is not at the table, who claimed that somehow Ann Arbor can't do that. Ann Arbor has done that many times regarding South Africa, regarding Burma, regarding Wendy's workers. The Ann Arbor City Council has many times approved resolutions regarding things outside the city limits of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And it can again, and it will again. It might mean that at election time we have to throw out these guys you see sitting in front of you on the city council. But one way or another, the Ann Arbor City Council will do as the Ypsilanti City Council did, and they will approve a resolution which is really a no-brainer, a very simple resolution. Of course, we are against military aid to Israel. And of course, we want a ceasefire so Israel stops mass murdering human beings in the Gaza Strip. You might know already that South Africa today is demanding the arrest of Netanyahu. South Africa knows what apartheid is. South Africa knows that Israel is committing massive war crimes against the Palestinian people. Listen and approve the resolution against military aid to Israel.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dr. Omar Abid.
Yeah, hello, you all. Thank you for hearing me out. I didn't feel good, like I was kind of blurting things out. I know you guys have to keep things in order. I respect that. But there's also this order of humanity going on. Excuse me, Jen, if you can please pay attention. And where's Lynn Song? Because I'd like her to come here and I'll restart. I'll wait for her. She's went in the restroom.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could turn my clock back, yeah. So I just want to say again that I feel bad that I blurted things out, but and I respect you guys have to keep order. You know, you're worried about the water, you're worried about the electricity, you're worried about whatever, the housing. But you know what? Israel has cut off the water. Can you imagine that? Collective punishment is a war crime, and the most supreme war crime possible, imaginable, is cutting off basic needs, and the most basic need that you could cut off is water. We're 70% water. And I hope Sister Aisha, in human rights, if she can raise this, all you have to do is you could do it right now. You can do it right now, and then 2 weeks later, it's going to be you can vote on it. Just be a man, be a woman, be a human being. You guys did this for South Africa. You guys did this for Burma. Ypsilanti did the same thing. So why aren't we doing it? We should do it. If the Holocaust was going on, would you do the same thing? Or it's out of our scope? No, we should do it when Jewish people are suffering, when Palestinian people are suffering. A lot of Jewish people are in the forefront. Jewish Voice, JVP, Jewish Voice for Peace, if not now, and they're on the forefront. You guys are seeing the protests because they know they're being human beings. And there's a lot of fake stuff going on. Oh, if we don't do it, then this same thing will happen again. No, it won't, because now Israel knows that they were paying attention. They were relying on high-tech technology. They fell asleep, and that's why this thing happened. So of course it won't happen again. They're Gaza is like the tiniest possible border. We give them billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. They're going to put some people there and look around. And if there's a political solution, the military stuff, Hamas will disappear. And Jen, please tell this to your IDF funders. Tell them that this thing won't happen again because they know it happened, so they're going to pay attention. And if there's a political solution, if the indigenous people can also live in dignity and have their own state, then there won't be any of what's going on. This is our money that's leading to this thing. I thought I was going to get a 30-second thing.
Yeah, your control, you're on time, sir. With Councilmember Song was not able to be here for her own purposes.
Okay. Sorry, can I just have 30 seconds then? Or okay, sorry. So I'm just appealing to you all. You're going to meet God one day, okay? You're going to meet God one day, and you're going to have to answer for this. So you're saying that you can throw us out of the chamber because we're doing something out of order. Well, I'm saying each one of you is going to be thrown out. Let me finish. It's going to be thrown out of the chamber, and I don't want that to happen. I love each of you. I love myself. We got to do the right thing. Just write it up now, and 2 weeks later it can be passed, just like Ypsilanti. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sean Khan.
Good evening. I've lost track of time. I've been sitting here since 7 p.m. and the thing that I keep wondering is 5,000 kids. 50,000? Would you pass the resolution then? Are you waiting? Waiting for how many more to die before you guys will speak up and say something? I'm waiting. Say same flat face, no emotions. Nothing. Same thing will be done. Maybe you can live with yourself. All right, I'm going to quote Time of Israel. Asked in an interview with Radio Call, this is the Minister of Heritage. He was asked, he said that they should drop a nuclear bomb on Gaza. And he was asked on radio, and he said, yeah, that's one way. So you condone that, or you're just going to stay quiet and hide behind the we don't do this resolution passing here, when I can quote you, this is online available, Resolution R364-786, approved as amended, and It says, resolution barring purchase or lease of goods produced in South Africa because the apartheid regime of South Africa has systematically exploited the labor of people of color and denied basic human and political rights to all non-white citizens of South Africa. This is City of Ann Arbor. So, still want to hide? I've been sitting there wondering, is there really, is there a lot of power and money that comes with this where you can go to sleep and have no conscience? Is this job really all that great? I'm just wondering.
You have to shut up all the time.
So I'm going to stand here until my time's up and just watch you guys.
Suffer.
And when you go to bed, those kids died, guys.
Instead of suffering, you can speak up.
Those guys.
You can find humanity in yourself and speak up.
Those kids died. No arms, no legs. White phosphorus was used. You can see the burned kids, guys. And you can't even open your tongue. I feel bad for you. That's all I'm going to say. I wouldn't want this to happen to me or anyone. It's a shame.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Councilmember Cornell, second by Councilmember Iyer. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.